All right, welcome to Sunday's VC. We are recording. I have Kidder on. Maybe hopefully some other folks will join. Today's topics are the status of Kidder's Nutter restraining order, IHD, Chef Mutt meat, and canine bans, civil rights Nutters have yet to shit on, video and audio options and issues, Nutter politics, entitlement, and political paradigms, dog terrorism in my neighborhood, and also to welcome new members. I don't know if any of them will be joining us today. So by participating, you are consenting to being recorded. And the other issue too is my allergies are terrible today. The plants are going crazy down here. Maybe it's those at-large dogs are shaking up all the pollen. But in any case, so Kidder, give us the latest and greatest on your on the restraining order you're pursuing against your Nutter neighbor. What's going on with that?
Well, the latest and the worst of it, I guess, is that there is no restraining order, as
Okay.
the judge dismissed it.
And
Uh,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
but yeah, there's a lot of angles here that I could possibly go down, and I, you know,
Well, go
the
ahead. I mean,
nutters.
this is really good information for people. You know, the more people who know about this stuff, the better. So,
Yeah, well, just know if you go against a nutter, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at you,
yep,
whether it be. Well, I was going to say whether it be truth or lies, but it's all just going to be lies.
right,
So
sure. Well, of
we
course.
got
I
up
mean,
there.
yeah, nutters lie. It's what they do, right?
Yeah, dogs bark. It's what they do. Nutters lie, you know. You
Yep.
know.
And their owners lie about it and everything else. So the judge
But
dismissed, but what were the grounds for the dismissal? I know I recall like your lawyer could not appear in person, and I think the judge denied the remote, like the Zoom call or whatever had been requested.
yes, he was completely against us from the word go. No continuance, no remote, nothing. He asked the respondent about what he thought about it, and he said, "I'm a hardworking family man with kids and PTO and blah blah blah." I'm like, okay, we both took off work for this, and it's not my fault you're the aggressor here.
Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, if you don't want to be inconvenienced, like maybe you should stop offending against people. How about that?
No. Yeah,
That's what I told mine. It's like, hey, you want me to stop complaining about your offenses? Because they would just turn into really not the husband so much, the wife would, like these foaming at the mouth rage monsters, or documenting the offenses. I've heard some of that in your case too. Say you've got whatever 247 ring cameras pointed at their house or whatever claim they made. But I said, you know what? If you want me to stop documenting your offenses, it's easy. Just stop offending. Don't give me a reason to do that. Same thing. If you don't want the police here, animal control, don't create a reason for them to be here, and then that problem will solve. Like, but they never see themselves as a source of the problem. So
yeah.
it's dismissed. But you could always, I mean, obviously, if they threaten you again, you can still go to police. If they noise pollute you again, you can, escalate that. I mean, how is it going though? Did they return to, are they celebrating their win with hours and hours of loud barking, or how's the
No,
situation?
I kind of, at this point, it's pretty much the same. I think they've probably been out of town or something. Um, I kind of figured it would be a celebration or whatever. Really, what's gonna be the tell is in the summer when we try to go out biking or the like and get harassed and charged, and or in the winter when they let it run around loose and threaten our existence, putting out the garbage.
Yep.
Um, yeah, he basically built himself up and tore me down, and that was basically his strategy.
I mean, a judge should know better. I mean, what does he expect a respondent to do? Just say, "Oh yeah, you're right. Like I'm the bad guy here." Nobody's gonna
Yeah,
say
but he did.
that.
He literally did.
uh,
He said, Your Honor, yes, I did in fact do these things that we're here for. Yes, I did threaten them twice. Yes, this did happen.
okay.
But so the judge's basis for this dismissal was horse shit, but I already knew what was going to happen when he was slandering our attorney on the stand, and uh, he was a dog owner with the same dog, so your grave has been marked out already at that point.
So the judge was a dog owner with the same dog breed.
Yep.
That almost sounds like a change of venue situation because you wonder if he's, obviously he's biased. But that's the thing, like we discussed last time. A lot of it depends on who you get. So you got assigned a judge who's, if they're not a full blown nutter, they're at least very sympathetic.
Yeah. That's what the attorney said when I called him. I was like, he woke up this morning and he decided against this case. It didn't matter what we did. If it was my attorney representing me, it would have just been a more expensive dismissal.
That sucks.
But yeah, he painted me as a disgusting person, and I'm doing all these things, and I apparently have three ring cameras pointed into his yard. Apparently,
Only three? Oh, okay.
yeah, only three. Like, I don't know, you went by our house like four times, and several times before that, like, where my cameras are, and I know where yours are. I don't see any of them pointed towards your house, my guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's one thing they claim is, and that's very, very common, is they, accuse you of sort of inappropriately or even illegally like surveilling them. But the point to make is we haven't, told and I've given this advice, and told, I've been actually through this with multiple dog nutters. Is look, I have a right to photograph, video record, audio record, anything that can easily be seen or heard from my home. And I've even shared some of that video material. I mean, this is back before, ring cameras were a thing. But, I can put my bridge camera on a tripod on my front porch and just, point it out. I'm just going to video record what's going on in front of me. It can easily be seen and heard from my home. So if you want to put your dog out to bark for 8 hours, well, yeah, that's going to get recorded. So they sometimes even go as far as to like accuse you of trying to, like video record or photograph them inappropriately, like if they're running around naked or whatever.
Yeah, I think what has actually happened here is they moved the dog to the other side of the house. So it's not that it's making less noise, it's simply that we can't hear it.
Right.
Which, sure, fine. It works for me.
Yeah. Yeah, but
for that aspect, at least.
Well, of course, then they're going to have to potentially deal with, neighbors on the other side. But
well, they're all they're all nutters themselves. I had to call the cops about the people across from these people, and they shut up. Shockingly.
Yeah.
But he made up lies that I called his dog a homophobic slur, and I was looking at his kids, everything, the kitchen sink.
Well, yeah, the old they accuse you of being a child molester or whatever, or somebody who wants to hurt kids. They'll go to just the lowest depths. They're just the scummiest, most vile, reprehensible people, And if it makes you feel any better, like lots of people go through this stuff. It's just it's really shocking and dismaying that there's so many people like this out there.
Yeah, like I said earlier, we came in with facts and logic, and he came in there with slander and lies.
Yep.
And we're just sitting there listening to his testimony, just baffled with bullshit. I mean, we dazzled with brilliance, and he baffled with bullshit. So
Yeah, but like you
you know,
said, yeah, the judge probably had his mind made up before he even heard the case. And that's part of this whole, the way the system works, not all the time, but often, that the underlying assumption that so many people have is that dogs can do no wrong. Dog people are just the most wonderful people in the whole world. So how do you handle these complaints? What do you do about it? And the thing is like what you do is, well, you blame the victim. There's something wrong with you. You're the problem, not them.
exactly
And
what
it's not
he
even,
did.
and they don't even want to hear the facts. It kind of goes back to them. It's the same line of reasoning behind blaming victims of dog attacks, because the underlying assumption is that dogs and dog owners can do no wrong ever. So if you can't blame the dog, you can't blame the dog owner. So who do you blame? You blame the victim, because they're the only, unless there's maybe some other third party involved, like the dog attacks a kid. Okay, you can blame the parents or maybe a bystander, but you never blame them. So from their perspective, the problem is never the dog or the dog owner. It's always somebody else. So what do? Well, you have to make it harder to complain, right? You go after the complainant. Yeah, and the way they treat people in this system, like people like your situation or my situation, victims of dog attacks, it's shameful. It's just embarrassing that but the thing is, yeah, those people could just do the most vile, like despicable things. And yeah, they not always, but frequently get a pass because it's part of the thing. One of our, cultural standards is that dog people are just the most wonderful people on earth. That's why we don't need any, restraint or any laws, right? Because, you can't improve upon perfection, can you? Oh, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Crazy.
like you said, the judge kind of has to be impartial, and I think he somewhat was. He said if there was more, like if we were in immediate danger, like we didn't talk him down from acting on his active threats, then only that we would have gotten a restraining order. But yeah, it shouldn't be our job to be his therapist so he
Yeah,
doesn't
no.
beat the
Well,
shit out of me.
that's just another deflection tactic. See, that's what one of their methods or tactics of putting the onus back on the victim or the complainant, right? They say, oh, you need to like talk it out with them. It's like, I don't need to talk to them about anything. It's like, look, they're offending and they need to stop doing it. Whatever the offense
Yeah,
is, whether they're noise polluting or threatening to shoot me, or if their dog is, attacking wildlife, I don't need to talk to them about it. They just need to stop doing it. And it goes back to doggy double standard, because no other offense or no other category of offenses is treated that way. Like if they were vandalizing your car, would they say, maybe you need to go talk it out with them? It's like, no. That's absurd, but that's their expectation. They're just putting it back on you. They're like, this is like your problem to solve. And no, it's like horse shit. I don't, because that's what they do, is they distract people with that. They say, oh yeah, try to talk him down, or even with the dog himself. It's like, you need to learn dog behavior. I need to learn no such thing. The dog needs to behave himself, or GTFO. That's what needs to happen. Yeah, it's not that the rest of us all need to go out and get PhDs in animal behavior. That's not the solution. They're causing the problem. They need to fix, they need to stop doing it. They either need to stop on their own, or they need to be forced to stop.
yeah. The judge offered him advice to do better, and he said he would also call the cops if there was a large dog running loose. So like I was saying, he was somewhat on our side and so forth.
We gave him a stern talking to. Gave him a
Yeah,
warning, you know,
stern talking to, warning about a warning,
warning about a warning.
about another warning.
Yeah.
But if we have literally like one more thing, well, I mean, this is only about a restraining order. The real thing is that we brought him to fucking court. So,
Yeah. Well, maybe he knows it's like hopefully they'll leave you alone because at least they know you're gonna try to go after him. It's like, you took a shot and missed, but don't blame yourself. Like I said, the whole system is rigged in favor of the dog. It's very, very difficult. But the thing is,
I
like,
don't
look,
even feel it as a miss, honestly. I
but the
mean,
thing is, at least they know you'll take the shot, and the next shot might hit him right between the eyeballs. So, because that's what they count on. They figure nobody's going to even try to go after him. So now they know it's like, okay, there's at least a possibility of real consequences here. And there were. Like, they got dragged into court. I'm sure, yeah, they probably didn't appreciate that. So this thing is starting to, cost them, time and money and so forth. Did they have a lawyer?
no.
No? Huh.
Well, I didn't either.
Well, but you did initially. So I guess they were pro se or interesting. It's kind of like, suing. You can sue people like that too for whatever, harassment. I mean, anything that's actionable criminally is actionable civilly also. Again, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I play one on TV. People get sued over this. And even if you sue them and lose, it still costs like lots of time, money, emotional capital. So even like the winner, even if they win, it still costs them. It still hurt them. Unless you're in a place where, loser pays everybody's legal bills, that can kind of suck. But a lot of these things are, that like, noise polluting is a tort. They're projecting, unwanted noises over a property line. So, but at least you got for now, it's quieter, it's improved. So,
Yeah.
because sometimes something like this will happen and they'll escalate. They'll escalate. I was following, it was back in my early blogging days. It was a couple sued their across the street neighbor for something like this, and they lost. They sued and lost. The judge found in favor of the dog owner. And it may have been a case like yours, like perhaps the judge was, biased in favor of dogs or dog ownership. But what happened was the defendant, rather than just they decided to be sore winners. So what they did was they left an enormous bag of dog shit on the plaintiff's doorstep. And they actually they got arrested for that. So I don't know but that's an assault doing so. Actually, because your attorney brought that up. Did they leave?
Yeah, he literally asked me that. Is there
Yeah,
a bag of dog shit on your porch?
Well, because they do stuff like that. They escalate that way, and they can get in trouble for that. That's an assault. So yeah, so if they do something like that, it's like, yeah, don't let it go. But it would have been good if, the restraining order had gone through. But total respect, man. It's it's a lot not enough people take it this far.
Yeah. Well, hopefully he doesn't do something, and also maybe hopefully he does do something. Maybe he's that stupid and brings it to the next level where he actually gets a restraining order and so forth.
Yep.
And then he can go play in the the Steel Bar Hotel.
Yeah.
Like, well, yeah.
All right. So what else do we got? Um, yeah, Chef Mutt Meat got deleted. I was kind of hoping she could join today. I would have liked to talk to her about that because we had a couple of things happen. It was, yeah, I Hate Dogs got suspended from posting for a week. Chef Mutt Meat got totally, completely deleted. Although she's still communicating with us. Um, actually, she put another channel back up, but the thing is, it says, yeah, she wrote, and she gave me the okay to talk about this because I asked her. I said, folks are asking about what happened to your channel. I mean, I won't say anything if you don't want me to, but she said I could discuss it publicly if I felt a need to do so. But she said, yeah, the policies claim they won't be able to access, possess, or create any other YouTube channels. That was in a response to a question I posed where I asked, when they do something like this, are they just shutting down the channel or the person? And apparently they're going after the user, the person. Um, yeah, but the thing is like all the trolls know who it is, so they're going to, probably go ahead and report her. Um, it's crazy. And we still don't know what happened. At least with her, we know what's going on. With Kanon, just boom, disappeared. Never heard a word. Um, it's interesting too. Is I Hate Dogs has been posting on his other channel. He's an I Hate Dogs 2 channel, but it seems like very few people know about it because he's only getting 1/5 or 1/8 the views he would normally get on a video on his other channel. And I'm thinking, are all these people just so into like the channel? It's like, oh, I'm not listening to that I Hate Dogs 2 guy. He's like a cheap knockoff. I want the real I Hate Dogs. It's like, well, that's what's there. Why aren't they listening? Why aren't they viewing it on the other channels? I believe pretty much everybody knows about it. But if you don't know about it, I Hate Dogs has been posting on another channel called I Hate Dogs 2, and you can view it. God, what's going on with these allergies? You can view his material on there if you want to. I have been
I don't
doing so.
believe he has ever talked about his second channel or his other channels.
Maybe he's
I'm
worried
not
that
sure.
the trolls will go after that, but they got to know about it. If they knew about his other channel, his politics channel, and it raises a question: how did they know about that? I'm telling you, these anti dog people are watching all of us like hawks. They're going through everything, looking for reason to pull the rug out from under us. And I think that, like in Chef's case, I mean, she would put. I mean, the Chef's videos had a ton of entertainment value, and I didn't interpret what she was posting as animal abuse. I mean, it seems like the theme was like, for example, the dog who attacked the firework and got blown up. I mean, first the firework, the motor goes off and it goes shooting across the rooftop. And rather than stay away from it, any other animal would BTFO if something like that happened. But Fido didn't. He pursued the attack on the device, which then blew up and probably, inflicted a fatal injury. But that's not animal cruelty. I mean, what I see there is a really, really aggressive, stupid creature being deleted as a result of its own aggressive, mindless aggressiveness. I mean, that's my interpretation of it. And people find that. I mean, personally, I don't do cruelty, but I find that kind of thing. I don't know if entertaining is the word, but I find it interesting to
Just
see.
like the dogs that go after cops with all the rage, but then get shot and cry out like they've been wronged somehow.
Yeah, there's like
Oh
there's no
no!
yeah, yeah, there's no sense. We were discussing that last time. All these, or the time before, all these hyper aggressive little dogs. Even they'll just they'll attack anything. And yeah, a lot of times like with the small dogs, it doesn't. They have very little capacity to seriously injure somebody. But you got to think of the stupidity of that. I mean, I'm sure many dog people will claim, oh, they're being brave, but it's like mindlessly attacking everything in sight is not bravery. It's not a survival trait. It doesn't. It serves no purpose. They just attack. But yeah, they have all these bred in proclivities. But yeah, I didn't see Chef Mutt meets or I didn't see any cruelty there. Really, what I think what happened there was she's actually put out some really good material. That one with the video about the woman that had been attacked, I guess when she was a kid, by her father's dog. That was very powerful stuff. Very, very powerful stuff. And that's the kind of thing, like victim, testimony. That's the kind of thing these dog cultists don't want getting out. So the other stuff they use as like pretext, again, like Fido trying to eat the Roman candle or whatever. They say, oh, that's a depiction of animal cruelty. We got to delete the channel. But I don't think they probably don't even really care about that so much either. Because the source video that she copied it from, that didn't get deleted. But what they don't like is they don't like that some of that more kind of deeply profound stuff, right? The victim testimony and all that. Someone on the Discord suggested we do a million mauled march. And you probably could put that together. You figure how tens of thousands are seriously injured every year. So, you could rack up that many, definitely, probably in a generation or so, do that million mauled march.
Yeah, the end of the dog attack victim story was really nice because the dad said, oh, this is fine because it's a family bite. We don't even have to report it. It's so joyous.
Well, that's the other thing, too, is we don't have, because people talk about, statistics all the time, but I don't believe we don't have anything resembling good data on this, because I don't believe, and I might be wrong, but I don't believe that at least nationwide, we don't have any kind of uniform reporting criteria or requirements for this stuff, for dog attacks, like we do for, say, gunshots or car accidents or plane crashes or poisonings. It seems that, again, because most of these are just written off as accidents. And I believe that if you look at, say, dogsbite.org, they're just going off of, media reports, because that's really the only way to gather information. But you think how much of this stuff doesn't get reported to anybody? I mean, it's just something that happened. Doesn't get added to any statistic or any official database. So I think the numbers for everything, the maulings and the killings, what we're working with or what we see is at the tip of the iceberg. I think it's way worse.
Absolutely.
For that reason, but you can see also is that a little like your situation, the incentive or the cultural motivation is, among other things, is to protect Fido's reputation. We don't want to make him look bad. And I believe, the incentive is to sort of misattribute many of these dog attacks to something else. And they get caught doing this. Back in my blogging days, I ran into multiple cases where someone was killed by dogs, and the initial report was, it just said, animal attack. Or actually, there was one fairly recently that was initially attributed to a stabbing. Oh, they were stabbed to death. But then it goes to the coroner, and they're like, these don't look like knife wounds to me. But you wonder how often that happens, but they don't get caught. Like that doesn't come out. And I think it's probably quite often. Say like heart attacks or cardiac arrest. Somebody gets attacked by a dog and their, blood pressure goes through the roof and then, collapses. So they say, oh yeah, it's, heart failure. Of course it was, brought on by a dog attack, but they, omit that. Now, I can't, that does happen. I mean, it's definitely happened, but I think it happens way more than we're aware of. This is a much bigger problem than anybody knows. Much bigger.
Dog's tooth that punctured the baby's head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That old meme.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, the dog put its mouth on the baby's head and the tooth penetrated, like what the dog chomped on the kid's gourd. The dog mauled the kid to death. That's what happened. Like enough of these like cutie, euphemisms. The dog deleted a kid intentionally. Wasn't an accident. Stupid people. What else do we want to talk about here? Yeah, there's been some interesting comments in the Discord. Well actually, and also, who put up an interesting comment was, I know we have Tesla on the Discord. He doesn't really drop in or participate much, but we're having some conversations about the duplicitous nature of dog people, because he was commenting on, and Tesla really does leave the best comments. I mean, he's probably the best secondary contributor out there. But because IHD was covering this vet in Britain that was saying that, well, it's not the dog's fault for attacking people. It's all the owner's fault for breeding them to have problems with their temperament. And then her next point is a recent spike of dog attacks is due to them not being properly socialized. But he goes on to say, well, there's an admission that dogs are violent and aggressive by nature. In other words, you have to like train them not to attack people. But this raises a question, because it's another one of their dismissals. They say, oh yeah, it's just bad training. Well, what is good training? Like, how do you train Fido out of wanting to kill the toddler? What training regimen is required for that? Like, you're talking about training humans if you want to be, an airline pilot, okay, or a doctor. What sort of training or, educational requirements are required for that? And you can indicate, okay, you need to do, X, Y, and Z. Here's the courses you need to take, the degrees you need to get, the internship you need to do, and so forth. But they never indicate any of that. They're like, oh, yeah, it just needs better training. Well, training how? What's the regimen? Nobody knows, but nobody takes that, to the next step. What is that?
Well, what is a service animal?
Yeah, what is a service animal? Yeah, well, that's interesting too. I was thinking I might try posting my letter to one of the Reds. I know most of them have these rules like no promoting yourself. Because I was going to post a link, but then I thought, oh, they'll probably, strike that or ban me for trying to promote myself. But if I actually just put the letter body, if I just put the draft in, in a Reddit post, I don't know if they can, maybe they would, I'll see what happens. I'm going to put it out there and see what the reaction is. Because you know what? That dog-free Reddit has 50,000 people. You know what? If 5% of them sent that letter in, that could perhaps make something happen. It'd be interesting to see if any of those people actually put their money where their mouth is, um, or if they'll even let me put the post up. But,
Yeah. I would also gather that maybe 5% of people even look at what they're subscribed to.
yeah,
So 5% of 5%,
five
and
percent
then
of five.
three of those people.
Yeah, three of those people. It's too funny.
It's the pessimist in me. I'm here
Yeah,
all
no.
week.
Well, no, I hear you, and particularly after what you've been through, you get, very cynical. Um, Particularly dealing, with these people.
You are not wrong.
You get very, very cynical. You kind of burn out on it after a while. And you realize too, is, even if you, let's say you just like totally mop the floor with them, the problem is it's going to happen again. Again, these people are way too common. Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to segue into. Well, pursuant to people who complain but don't even try to do anything was I posted this in the Reddit the other day. My neighborhood is currently being terrorized by 3 at-large pit bulls. And there's this huge post on Nextdoor about it. This one woman wrote about it because I think her cat was killed. And because they've been running around, they've been, chasing people, running in the road, attacking and killing other animals, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this whole incredibly long, comment thread, broke out on that. And of course, a lot of people started saying it's like, I'm getting my gun out. I'm going to delete them. And apparently, animal control, they know about. There have been a ton of complaints. They know where the dogs live. They know where the owner lives. But the dogs are still running loose, which raises a question. At some point, this becomes the fault of authorities. This is some kind of authority malpractice or just a general fail of the system. Of course, you have that kind of stuff everywhere. But this whole long comment thread broke out. Apparently, animal control did tell somebody that, yes, you can shoot the dog if it's attacking another animal. But then somebody else said, it's like, well, are they going to bail you out of jail when you get arrested for shooting the dog? Because they'll find a way to perhaps to go after you. This whole long comment thread broke out. People started talking about deleting the dog with dogs with a firearm or perhaps some other means. But the OP, the original poster, was like, oh no, it's not their fault. They're just like sweet, innocent, pupperinos. I'm like, lady, I tell you, you're about as useful as a screen door in a submarine. I mean, what is it got to take? Is if the dogs do maul a kid to death, you could say, well, it's good, the good thing nobody shot him. You don't want that to happen. That would be bad. Stupid people.
Killing a cat ain't bad enough, I guess.
Yeah, well, the thing is
Nut.
they're the way they, nutters excuse that is like, well, animal aggression doesn't equal human aggression. And the thing is, well, sure it does, because a dog is too stupid to really to see the difference. I mean, probably from the dog's perspective, a human kid is just another small animal. So it takes a level, they're anthropomorphizing. They're saying that Fido understands the difference. But of course, people, you can't just go into somebody's yard and kill their cat. I mean, a dog can, but you can't. Still, though, it's like that kind of aggression is intolerable. Even going back to my one and done policy, any dog would, if they kill another domestic animal, boom, gone. No tolerance for that either. Even if it's another dog. Okay, maybe I'd give them a pass for that. But, no, because that's the thing is that they don't have that level of discernment. But it was interesting, going back to that Nextdoor thread. Was, yes, the OP was like, oh no, please don't hurt the dogs. It's like, again, this is what I talked about last time and the last time before too. you're putting the best interest, the health and safety of the dog ahead of your own. This is a horror movie scenario. You've got monsters stalking your neighborhood, and you're worried about the well-being of the monsters. It's a joke. Imagine, this would almost be a farce or maybe a horror comedy, or you have like maybe we could do a reboot of the Alien franchise, but everybody's worried about the alien. It's like, yeah, okay. Are you familiar with that movie? Have you seen it or any of those?
I'm sure it's
Yeah,
probably been a
but
while.
that was it was a sci-fi horror movie. It was fascinating because it takes you through the whole life cycle of the monster. But I could see, or the way they're acting is like, well, everybody's worried about the well-being of the monster. It's like, who cares about that? That's not your concern, but that's what these, people worry about. They're like, ooh, the poor dog, it's not their fault. So what if it's not their fault?
Yeah.
That doesn't
It
matter.
reminds me of a video I saw. The murderer came into somebody's house and then called the cops. Yeah.
Too funny. Too funny. Yeah, so that was the dog terrorism in my neighborhood. It's crazy. Now I got to worry about that because you're just stuck between a rock and a hard place because we don't have, the authorities don't do anything, but we don't have the self-help options either. I mean, if I was to shoot the dog, if it's latched onto my face, like, yeah, I'd probably get away with it, but that's not what needs to happen. What needs to happen is the next time they show up off property, they need to get deleted. But that won't happen. People, even some folks in Discord are like, don't people in Florida have guns? It's like, sure. But the thing is, everybody knows that Fido's protected. And if you delete the dog, you're not only looking at a potentially a big legal liability, but a social one also, because everybody, kind of like that stupid woman who started the next door thread, who like, oh, you're a murderer, you're such a horrible person, how could you do such a terrible thing? It's like, yeah, I probably saved your life, but I'm a bad person. Whatever. Stupid people. But it's all,
You,
thanks to, you know, 50 years of social conditioning by these dog cultists. It's always somebody else's fault. Well, you can't blame him for his, bad training or whatever. But you know what? That doesn't matter. Like, the fact that the dog is not a moral actor, it's too stupid to be so. And the fact that, yeah, the owner is not, controlling or caring for it or containing it properly. I mean, those are all true things, but they're irrelevant. What matters is you've got these beasts that they're not human beings. Okay, they're not humans with rights. They're proven dangerous, and they're literally, terrorizing an entire community. They need to be put down. Enough of this, everybody worrying about what's best for the dog. That is not a consideration. Or shouldn't, I mean, it is. It shouldn't be, but unfortunately it is.
we don't ask how well a snake or a tiger is trained. We just kill them.
Yeah, yeah. Or even like with people too. Like, if somebody, Ted Bundy, and say, oh, well, it's not his. I mean, some people are like, oh, it's not his fault. He was mistreated. He's misunderstood. He's this, he's that. It's like, whatever. He still got the electric chair, and deservedly so. We don't treat war. I mean, we don't even give that level of consideration to fellow human beings. So yeah, the fact that maybe, and all of this training stuff, that's like that's just baloney. That's it's a sort of a passive aggressive dismissal. It's like, he just needs better training. It's like, pff, yeah, I'll train him. I'll fix him so he never hurts anybody ever again. Stupid. What else do we have here? What else do we have in the Discord? We were talking about Chef got a note from dogsbite.org. I should donate to them also. I think probably everybody should. Um, but they're being drained of resources. Dogsbite.org is, because they're being sued by multiple nutter organizations, really just for providing data. But anything that indicates anything bad about any dog anywhere ever is libel, I guess, even if it's true. So what do they say? We bringing more cases. Oh, you know what they're doing is, yeah, they're suing, various cities who are trying to keep their pit bull bans. And they said it lobby, they're wearing down. Yeah, basically. So that's what these organizations do. These pro dog or pro pit bull organizations. If a city has a pit bull ban or restrictions, they'll just endlessly litigate. It's endless warfare, and they'll just wear them down. Part of the thing is and this is where my ideology doesn't, perfectly align with some folks, is that I think at the end of the day, don't you think it's kind of a pointless political battle? Because most of these pit bull bans don't really accomplish anything anyway, or very little. Like say like the Miami ban, they're endlessly it's endless political warfare over that ban. But and I vlogged about that too. You go to the city shelter, it's full of pit bulls. The city's adopting them out. So if that's the end case of, or the outcome of a pit bull ban, like why bother? So it's sort of like, okay, we can just not have a pit bull ban and have pit bulls everywhere. Or we can launch this huge, expensive political battle to, quote, get them banned, and there will still be pit bulls everywhere. Like what's the difference? I mean, they're just, like I said, it's a pointless, political battle. That's what it seems like.
Laws are only laws if they are enforced.
Yep.
Otherwise,
Yep.
they're just words on paper.
They're just words on page. And even if they're enforced, they don't really stipulate any penalties anyway. It's more like
Yeah,
it's like a best practice or a guideline. Like I've said before, it's like, unless you're going to start like putting people in jail over it, it's not going to really accomplish much. So let's
yeah.
see.
I do wonder how much the Nutters had to pay for their barking fine. It was probably like 1994 or something.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah, like
Oh, that was harsh.
tens of dollars. Yeah, I'm sure it didn't amount to much. I mean, you
Dog
probably
tax.
look that up. Well, the thing is, they have discretion too. It's like maybe they may contest that in court and not have to pay that either. Of course, they would still have to, just like you can say a speeding ticket, but they would actually have to, pay court fees and take time off to go fight that in court. But I could
The
see that.
PTO is precious.
Yeah, yeah. But that's good though. I mean, in a way, that's kind of a win, even if they don't have to pay the fine. But hey, you did tie them up. You did get them, sort of. So
It only took 12 months
12 months. God.
since April at least.
When what was it like before that? Did they just get the dog like early last year, or was
No,
it
they've had it the entire time.
they've had it and how long is that?
I don't know, probably several years before we were here.
Okay, but why and how long have you lived there?
About 3 years or so.
So the first 2 years you lived there wasn't a problem with this dog.
No, it's always been a problem.
Yeah.
It, yeah, it just pole vaulted because we started going biking more around the neighborhood, and then it's
Oh,
been a
okay.
problem.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's where that come from, I guess. And then before that, it was always the barking. So
Sure.
First, it was a nuisance. Then, secondarily, it was a safety problem,
Right. Yeah.
as it known to bite people from their own admission. So, what the hell?
Well, you have to dog, but I mean, report everything. Um, you got to think of
Kitchen sink.
the level of arrogance it takes for people to think, oh yeah, my dog is free to like run off property and physically assault people. It's ridiculous. I mean, the dog should have been confiscated and destroyed a long time ago. What were do you know what the nature of or the severity of the issues or the bites? I mean, did people, was he just snapping at them, or was there like real injuries, with bloodshed and everything?
I do not know. It
Hmm.
was Fido bit another biker today, and that was all.
Jeez.
Yeah,
It's
it's pretty
crazy.
cute
Yep. Crazy.
to defend this so vigorously when you know how much of a problem it is.
Crazy. What else have we got on here? Uh, yeah, if a dog is so reactive, give the dog back to God and get your lives back. Thing too is like, those people, they're sacrificing the dog. They think about all the problems this dog has caused them or how much trouble it's gotten them into, and they're still pursuing the behavior. It's just they're just crazy. They're nuts. Um, I don't see the attraction.
Unconditional love.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of conditions to that love, though. It's like, well, what are the conditions? Well, you're gonna wind up in court perhaps multiple times. Like there's some conditions. That sounds like a condition to me, or conditions.
Only if there's some horrible dog hater in your neighborhood.
That's right. But
Some loner that, has 10 or 12 hours a day to, I don't know, look at his cameras or whatever with his 3 ring cameras, put it in your yard.
well, that's the other thing. It's one of their retorts is they say, well, why don't you get a life? Get a life. They say to us, right? And they're like, you know what? Going after a dog person is not a good use of my time. Actually, I made this point to,
Precisely.
my nutters too, is that if you actually read that whole, letter I sent them, the desist letter, and I said, and I made a whole bunch of points. I said, I resent having to confront this problem. This should not be an issue. Okay, you have, it's part of the social contract and the law that says, you know what, if you bring a pet into a community, it's incumbent on you to keep it in a humane and socially responsible way. And you completely failed at that. You have. And now I got to go after you because, yeah, I can't do my work listening to somebody's dog bark all the time. And nobody should expect me to. And his real and I went after him because, yeah, it's like my quality of life is gone. I can't even do my work. So it's like I'm basically forced to go after them. We are. Okay, this is intolerable. And it's not just the barking either. It's all the other shit the crap hound does. I said, yeah, I resent having to do this. I resent it. Everybody should. Maybe it's why some people don't go after them, because maybe they do a sort of a cost-benefit analysis. And they're like, okay, is this worth taking off from my productive life to pursue this battle? It's like I said last time, it's, the new across the street neighbors have a dog also. And, they're not perfect dog owners. They're like way better than what was there. But occasionally they have it's this big, grossly overweight black lab. I mean, you could probably like you could outrun this dog on crutches probably, but and he doesn't. He's not a nuisance. I mean, he doesn't bark. He doesn't behave dangerously. I don't know if he's even capable of it. But they do. Like even this morning, I was sitting here and I got the the blinds open, and I just kind of see out of the corner of my eye the dog is outside, I guess unsupervised. He's staying in their yard, but he's just kind of wandering around, their yard, not on a leash. And I guess, technically that's allowed. He does sometimes wander off. I believe I told you last time, a couple of weeks ago, he wandered across the street into my next door neighbor's property. And that guy was unloading his car. He had a whole, back seat full of stuff he'd bought, and he's going back and forth from the house to the car, and the dog is following him. Again, it's not behaving dangerously or jumping up on him or anything, but it's following him back and forth. Now, I don't know if he wanted to say something, but the thing is, it's like, that's why I'm not like, something like that does not rise to the level of a complaint. Like, I'm not going to escalate that because the dog's really not, I mean, like I said, sometimes they're technically out of compliance, but the dog is not really impacting my life in any profoundly negative way, right? Like, he's not noise polluting. He's not digging holes in my yard. He's not behaving dangerously. He's not trying to eat the bumper off my car. He's just, like I said, sometimes it's slightly out of compliance, but it's like, I just let that go. Because, somebody who was just a perfectionist or obsessive over this stuff might complain, but it's just not worth escalating. If something happens, like if the dog does become, a real nuisance, like if he starts behaving dangerously or noise polluting, I'll escalate it. But until that happens, but it still bothers me a little bit because I'll be looking over there and I'll see. They shouldn't be letting that dog just wander around like that. Maybe just for the dog's sake, those 3 pit bulls that are been terrorizing the neighborhood a block or 2 over, they could come in and, tear him up. They probably would, if they came out this far.
On your first point of you resenting having to do that, that's exactly where I was at.
Yep.
Do you think I want to? Do you think I want to go to court? Do you think I want to hire a lawyer and pay filing fees that amount to $800? Do you think I want to do that just for fun?
Yeah.
Do you think that amuses me to just spend money? Hell, I'd rather burn it. That'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, because you wouldn't have to deal with the stress of it all.
And on that note of your neighbor's dog following around your neighbor, we got a nice big garage, so we just park in the garage.
Yeah. Well, actually, they don't have a garage, but the dog wasn't, behaving dangerously, and I don't know if that guy's gonna say anything. I mean, if the dog were here doing that to me, I'd BTFO him. I'd, yell at him. But
yeah, I just don't even want to deal with that.
Yeah, like I said, this dog, it's not really a problem. So, I mean, it's just, again, if I'm going to escalate something, you got to pick your battles. But, with what was there before, what was going on there was just nuts. The barking and all the other problems. Like the dog would get loose and like knock over, actually it was 2 of them, and they would knock over trash cans and, crap all over the place. And it was just crazy. I mean, it was just nuts back here. For 4 months, that lasted for 4 months. And then, after I sent him the desist letter, within probably a week, the dogs were gone. But it wasn't just, that might have just been the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back, because I think a lot of people were complaining about those dogs. We've almost got like a network of people here that complain about this stuff. We had, there was another, it was, I think, late 2018, early 2019. some folks moved in about halfway up the block, and they had a bull terrier, which those things have these really ugly, like dome-shaped heads. They had a bull terrier and a boxer mix. Mixed with ugly. That dog was ugly. Oh, man, that dog was ugly. It was just hideous. But they were doing the same thing. They had killed at least one cat that we knew of. They were going from house to house, like knocking over trash cans and spreading trash everywhere. So we had probably at least 5 parties were contacting, animal control and police over it. So there was a lot of pressure. There probably took a good 6 weeks before it stopped. And I hadn't seen the dogs after that. I guess they got rid of them. But again, yeah, I don't even like doing that. It's like, yeah, I resent how, because these people should know better. They should know better, but they have no sense of the golden rule. Certainly, do unto others. Like, how would they like it if I went to their yard, knocked over their trash can, and spread trash everywhere? Would they be okay with that? No, they wouldn't. So it's like, well, why are they doing it to me? So what else do we have? Oh yeah, we have Rock made a recommendation on a wine pairing for mutt meat. Yeah, apparently rice wine is good if you're going to grill up your neighbor's dog.
Yeah, nice Chinese flair to that one.
Yeah, well, rice actually sake is
Korean, maybe?
actually, he didn't give a precise source, but what has he got here? Yeah, rice wine. Meccano. I know you can get sake at the grocery store here. They sell it at my regular grocery store. That's a rice wine from, I believe it's Japanese. They make it's actually not bad. It's kind of like a Chardonnay, basically. You'd think though that would pair up with a white meat, like chicken or fish. Is that what the dog meat is? Is it a white meat or a red meat?
It's the other white meat.
It's the other white meat. I guess so. It's like, so yeah, if you're serving dog, yeah, go for some rice wine, or at least, like a white goes well with the barbecued dog.
Looks kind of like pork almost.
I guess. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it tastes like. I know everybody jokes about that, but
Probably like turds and
yeah. Do you think it?
dumpster
You think it leaves a shitty aftertaste?
Jesus Christ. I don't know if you're gonna top that one.
Well, you are what you eat, right? Well, that was a joke I thought. I was like, what did, after the alligators had eaten some neighborhood dogs, like, what do you think? And they're like, well, it went down good at first, but left a shitty aftertaste.
Oh boy.
All right. And probably on that note, I think I'll close out the call. I'll probably put this to YouTube. I want to listen to it. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to bring up also. Yeah, I don't know where all that background noise is coming from. I mean, in my case, I'm just using the same hardware and software I use for my monologues. So I don't know if it's a Discord issue necessarily, or maybe there is just a lot of interference coming through on people's lines. I mean, I know even after, 30 years in the public domain, cell phones still suck. But I was looking into some ways of actually cleaning up those recordings. There's a Python library called Noise Reduce. And it's adaptive learning, AI routines. So what you do is you give it, well, there's tons of arguments for it. You can do all kinds of things with it. But apparently you give it a sample of the noise you want scrubbed out of the recording. And it'll do that. It'll go through it and basically clean all that out. So I'd like to get rid of that. Because some of these recordings, I mean, we have a ton of good material on these calls. The thing is, sometimes, yeah, literally, it sounds like somebody's house is being torn down with them in it. It's crazy. Crazy. Anyway. Well, with that said, yeah, I think we'll close the call outs. Hey, great talking to you, man. Respect for all you've done. Totally.
Yeah, fight the good fight, I suppose.
Fight the good
As much as I
fight.
can.
And it helped. I guess too is if they moved the dog to the other side, so now they're just polluting other neighbors, but not you. So that's good, I guess. So let the other neighbors, if they want to deal with that. So
My attempt at peace.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep,
it's a hard fight.
it is. Yeah, it shouldn't be like this. It's got to change. It's got to change. These problems are way too difficult to solve.
Pretty jaded.
Yep. Anywho, I'm gonna let you go. Peace
Yep.
out, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Toodles.
Later, man.